Coming off a 47-win season and a trip to the Western Conference semifinals, the Golden State Warriors entered this year's draft without any picks, not in the first nor the second round. This actually happens more often than you would think in today's NBA. Warriors executive Jerry West has seen his share of drafts in his nearly 40 years as a front office executive with the Lakers, the Grizzlies, and now Golden State. West believes it will be an interesting draft, regardless of the fact that the Warriors don't have any draft picks.
It can be fun and exciting because there's so many opportunities out there. First of all, everyone has scouting staff. And you'll see an opportunity where maybe a team has multiple picks and they don't want them all. We can go trade a pick for it, and there might be a player that you love and covet there. And just because you don't have a pick, don't think you're not involved, because there'll be a lot of conversation going on between now and draft time. And I guess in some respects it's like a chess game. You might be down to your last move, and all of a sudden you have a chance to make a positive move, and you do it.
One way for Golden State to be a participant in this year's draft is to buy their way in. They have approximately $1.6 million to spend in order to purchase a draft pick. Remember, they did that in the past, a draft pick that yielded Jeremy Tyler. General Manager Bob Myers was asked if that's enough money to get a deal done on draft day.
Possibly. I think we're going to always be opportunistic at the draft, looking for ways to improve the team, looking for ways to get a bargain. But obviously there has to be sellers. We have to see that the price is right. But having $1.6 million gets you maybe in the conversation a little bit. But second-round picks usually go for a number higher than those, especially the ones at the top. But we're going to listen. We're going to work and be on the phones, preparing as if something will happen, just because you never know if it will.
In the 2013 NBA draft, there is no LeBron James, no Tim Duncan, no Shaquille O'Neal. There is no consensus number one pick or a franchise-changing player projected. And for that, Jerry West is very thankful that the Warriors don't have that overall number one pick.
You know, this is a kind of a different kind of draft. I don't think there's a consensus number one pick in this draft. There's a lot of players there that are going to be pretty good players, but I think the thing you're looking for is a branded player. I would not know who had to draft with the number one pick. I would have no clue this year. It's the first time in ages I wouldn't have had an opinion.
So without a draft pick, Golden State can add to their roster via free agency or through the D-League. And Golden State has been one of the leaders in the NBA at adding players that other teams have ignored. The D-League becomes much more valuable when it comes to adding talent to a roster, especially when you own your own club, as the Warriors do. Santa Cruz Warriors GM Kirk Lacob attended the recent D-League camp in Minnesota and talked about trying to find that diamond in the rough.
It was good. You know, we always have a chance to evaluate players at camps like that. A lot of these guys we've seen before, but it's a chance to get them up close and personal and see them against other elite players. And there's never going to be a time when we go somewhere and we don't see something that we like. So you're always getting another viewpoint and seeing the way guys work with each other up close and personal, and that's really important.
50 years ago, teams were selecting players they had not even seen on recommendations of scouts and other friends. But now, of course, there's nothing but tape on players. Every player has been scrutinized, whether it be via tape, a workout, and, of course, the rise of analytics and more data on players available, usage rate, shooting percentages at different spots on the floor. Teams now know more about players than they ever had. Scouting, therefore, is as important as ever. Once again, Jerry West.
No disrespect to agents. They'll tell you they're all great kids. I think you can see those things. I think you see kids who really enjoy playing with each other that are different personalities. Some kids are quiet. Some kids are more rambunctious, more talkative. I think on a team, it's good to have all those types on your team. But this was a unique team last year. 7 first or second year players. You can tell they liked each other. That can change from year to year, by the way. And we're hopeful that it changes because those young players are better and are pushing our veteran players. I think every day a player goes to practice, it's how you want to impress your coach. Go out there and kick the guy's fanny you're playing against, who might be a starter, or make him work at it. And those are how kids really get noticed by coaches. And I think in watching college basketball, I used to tell our scouts, I said, I don't care what the score of a game is. I don't care how the player is playing. you don't leave until a minute left in the game. Watch him the whole game. If he plays terrible and people like him, go back and see him. Go back and see him. But I would always felt I'd rather see a player play when he played his worst. And if you liked him when he played his worst, you knew that he had something else going for him. Go back and see him when he plays well, and you probably love him then.
The general consensus about the 2013 draft is that it's not a great draft. But in every draft, there's always a number of players that have fine NBA careers. Jerry West says this draft could prove to surprise some somewhere down the road.
I don't necessarily think any drafts are down here, but there'll be players there that will play in the league 10 years or more. So I'm not probably as pessimistic as anyone else. I think there's going to be some very good players there that have long careers in the league. They may not be of star quality. They may not be NBA All-Stars for a number of years. I don't see an All-Pro player there right now. But again, you don't know what's going on inside those kids. You don't know the work ethic. They might fit in perfectly at a place. A coach might like a rookie and play him, where many times rookies don't get played unless they're on a really bad team. There could be a real surprise out there, a diamond in the rough. And, if our coaching staff and our talent scouts and our front office felt that it was necessary or really worth the opportunity to go try and pursue that player through trading a draft pick, then you do it.
And with this draft being one that has a number of players of equal talent, General Manager Bob Myers was asked if the same player at pick number 5 could be available later in the draft, say at pick number 15.
Maybe. I think that might be a little bit of a reach to compare 15 to 5, but after the first 7 or 8, 9 guys, I think it's more to say you might get the same guy at 25 to get at 12, something to that degree. It gets a little bit more muddled as you get into the middle of the first round, but I think the top is showing some signs of separation in this draft.
It's kind of ironic that the Warriors don't have a pick in this year's draft, because last year's draft was one of the more successful ones ever for the Warriors, as Golden State got Harrison Barnes with the number 7 pick. He was a first-team all-rookie player. Festus Ezeli came over in the pick that was number 30, acquired in a trade with San Antonio, and had a very strong rookie season. And we know how good Draymond Green is, and Golden State selected him in the second round with pick number 35. Jerry West looking back on last year's rookies.
We had a real good draft last year. We really did. Obviously, when you look at that draft, we got a 19-year-old kid who had a great first year, made all-rookie team. It looked like his future was ahead of him. When you watched him in the playoff, he really didn't play like he was intimidated. He'd played so much against really good players. North Carolina plays a great schedule, and he wasn't intimidated by anyone. He won't be, and he'll grow as a player. Draymond Green, a 4-year player. To me, one of our smartest players. If he becomes a more consistent shooter, which he knows, and he'll work on it this summer, he's going to be a terrific player. Festus Ezeli did a great job for us last year. I don't think there's any question that his strength is post defense, and he had some terrific games for us last year. And obviously, when Bogut came back and started playing well, Festus didn't get an opportunity to play very much, and along the way, I think those players feel like, oh my gosh, the coach doesn't like me. No, it doesn't work like that. I think he understands some of the things he has to do, watch and learn, and these are the things he will do to become a better player in the future.
So Thursday night, Golden State with no draft picks, but it's an important offseason. In the very tough Western Conference, Golden State has to come back a better team than a year ago. So the draft will be something that General Manager Bob Myers is going to pay strict attention to.
You know what? I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's hard to say which of these players will have an impact immediately in this draft. A lot of people want to make a consensus declaration of what this draft is. It's really hard to say. It reminds me of a draft a couple years ago where Banyani was the first pick. There turned out to be some really good players in that draft, including him. But it's hard to say sometimes. It'll be interesting to see what deals are floated out there this time of year and which of these players develops into a possible franchise guy. It is hard to say, though, right now.
So Thursday night, with Golden State not having any draft picks, it's not a night off for General Manager Bob Myers. They have to pay attention to the draft. Their phone will ring. Possible trades could be coming about. And, of course, there's always work after the draft to try to sign players for the Summer League. And in July, Golden State will try to make the moves that will bring the Warriors back a better team than a year ago. So yes, Bob Myers will be paying attention and working hard during the NBA draft. The NBA draft is Thursday, 4:30 Pacific time on ESPN, followed by the Warriors Radio Roundtable Draft Special at 8 o'clock on KMBR 680 with our guest general manager Bob Myers. And you never know, we may have a draft pick to talk with as well. I'm Tim Roy for Warriors TV.